Hello, my witches and warlocks. Welcome back, and welcome back to another video where I am going outside of my comfort zone and talking about things that I really don't know too much about. Why am I doing that? Well, I will explain. First off, if you are enjoying my content, please consider subscribing. I am almost to 500. It'll be a very exciting day. I actually just hit my 100th video yesterday, which was pretty exciting. I do want to start off just by saying that I am not a journalist. These videos are not professional at all, and I do not follow a script. So please forgive me if things are a little bit messy. This isn't going to be like watching the news. I am not professional in any way, shape, or form. However, I pride myself on being completely unbiased and just want the facts on these situations. So what am I talking about? Well, there will be two topics that I will be discussing today. And both of these topics I found on Twitter. Because, as you guys know, I am always on Twitter, and I cannot be on that cruise ship fast enough because I need a break from Twitter because it makes me just want to curl up and cry. But I do it for you guys because I love you. So I will go to Twitter and I will bring the crazy to you. So what was the first tweet that I saw that led to a string of tweets that is going to be me discussing what we're going to be discussing today? From Statista Carter, we have "Men are horrific. I don't even have words." From the New York Post, Miss Switzerland finalist strangled to death and pureed in a blender by her husband. Absolutely horrific. This was the very first tweet that kind of just set off a bunch of stuff. So then we have Pinku here going, "Crime has no gender." Miss Denisha says, "Unfortunately, domestic violence is incredibly gendered, and men are the common culprits, with women as the common victims." After I read these, I couldn't help but wonder, what are the facts of gendered crime? When it comes to domestic violence, she is right on that one. As here, we have some stats that I just pulled off of Google. Number of women murdered by men in the U.S. 2020 by state. In 2020, there were 257 women killed by male single offenders in the state of Texas. Texas was the state with the highest number of women murdered by men in single offender homicides. California had the second most women killed by male single offenders at 222 cases. The study found that nationwide, 91% of women killed by men were murdered by someone they knew, and that the most common weapon used was a gun. VPC Legislative Director Kristen Rand states, "This annual study consistently shows that women who are victims of homicide are most likely to be murdered by a man they know, and that all too often that man is an intimate partner." So she is right in that regard. A total of 215,273 homicides were studied, 77% of which involved male victims and 23% female victims. Although the overall risk of homicide for women was substantially lower than that of men, their risk of being killed by a spouse or intimate acquaintance was higher. In contrast to men, the killing of a woman by a stranger is rare. More than twice as many women were shot and killed by their husband or intimate acquaintance than were murdered by strangers using guns, knives, or any other means. Which I took as, when I heard strangers, I was thinking, okay, maybe getting mugged, right? Or maybe somebody breaks into your home. HST, "I never did this to a woman. Don't put me in this." You should go attack men for how they're treating women then, instead of attacking women for being mad about it. How does one man's actions reflect on the rest of us? The same way the stats of countless men abusing and murdering women reflect on you. If you don't like your reputation, that sounds like something you should be talking to other men about. Now, this is where I disagree. I don't think it's fair to put the blame on all men for when men do bad things. I know that as a woman, I don't like when I get blamed for things that all women do. All women are like this. All women this, that. I don't like it. So I can't blame men for being upset. And to say, talk to men about doing something, what are they supposed to do? This is kind of like what I talked about in my video last week about the child sex dolls in Korea and the rape of the children around the world. What are we supposed to do about it? If we could do something, don't you think that we would have done it by now? I know that not every man out there wants to see their wives, their sisters, their daughters, their friends murdered at the hands of another man. Just like us women don't want to see our husbands, our sons, our brothers, our cousins, our uncles, our nephews murdered by other people. But what are we supposed to do? I feel like Miss Denisha Carter, she's not really providing anything, any help in a way. She just continues to point fingers and say, well, you figure it out, which I don't think that we're ever going to figure things out if we continue to divide. We need to stand together to be able to figure out these issues. A tragic FaceTime call ends in double murder-suicide in Ohio as man shoots 4-month-old baby and fiance. Ask Aubrey says on average, every 5 days, a man annihilates his family in the U.S. And now I just decided to pull up the stats for gendered crime itself because I was curious. I wanted to know the facts, stats about all crime. How many men kill men? How many men kill women? How many women kill men? How many women kill women? All I could find was men that kill. That's it. I couldn't find the stats on when women kill. And I feel like I got one little chart that might help us out a little bit. Maybe I'm just not very good at this yet. Maybe I don't have the resources or the knowledge to really know where to look. But no matter what I did on Google, it always just took me back to the same sites talking about how men kill women and the femicide that is happening in the world. I got a few things here, though, that I think could maybe help us see the facts a little bit more. So, number of murder victims in the United States by gender. We have a total of over 18,000 people. Over 14,000 are male and over 4,000 are female. So, number of murder offenders in the US. In 2022, there were over 15,000 murder offenders in the United States who were male in comparison to over 2,100 who were female. However, there were also almost 6,000 murder offenders where their gender was unknown. So, this is what I feel like I got the closest to what I could actually see the stats were on gendered crime. This is from Reddit. Of course it is, right? Here's a chart from the United States in 2019. It shows 4,191 men murdered by men, 477 men murdered by women, 1,647 women murdered by men, and 203 women murdered by women. So basically, men murder almost 10 times more often than women, but men tend to target their own sex, while women tend to target the opposite sex. So overall, women are murdered by men only about 4 times as often as men are murdered by women. So in closing with this part of the video, although women comprise more than half the US population, they committed only 14.7% of the homicides noted during the study interval. In contrast to men who killed non-intimate acquaintances, strangers, or victims of undetermined relationship in 80% of cases, women killed their spouse, an intimate acquaintance, or family member in 60% of cases. So basically, men kill. They kill each other and they kill their spouses and kill way more than women. But women kill too. And when women kill, they usually are killing their husbands. That is the majority of who they go for, is their husbands or their significant others. Moving on. Now, I did not know that I did this, okay? I did not know. This was an accident. It was not on purpose. I was going through Twitter again, found a tweet that I thought was very interesting that I wanted to do more info on, and lo and behold, it is Miss Denisha Carter again getting upset over somebody's tweet. Miss Rova here, or Mr. or whoever, says men's mental health matters. I think you guys know how I feel about mental health and getting help for it. If men's mental health mattered to men, they'd be creating safe spaces for themselves and each other, pursuing therapy and creating community. Instead, they perpetuate the very behaviors, systems that have handicapped them in the first place, refuse to support or create community amongst each other, severely damaging the women in their lives who try to care for them, and attack women online for not doing the work for them in replies to tweets like the one below, which I have to just say, she's wrong, and I will tell you why. Educated Hillbilly, love the name by the way, came in and said, you guys sued and ended all men's only clubs, which I was curious about. And then I got kind of excited because I am a fan of the next Twitter poster, The Critical Drinker. People like you made it literally impossible for men to have any spaces, hobbies, clubs, interests, groups, or social spaces of their own. People like you mandated that women must be included in everything they think and do. And now people like you berate them for not having the very things they've prevented from having. People like you are the problem. So I thought, okay, well, everybody's kind of mad. Is she right or is he right? I think it's a little bit more complex than that. However, there are men's groups that you can join online, and I will put the links in the description below as well if you are a man looking to join a men's only community. Something that I found right here, Men's Organizations by Sean Gala. I hope I'm saying his name right. The top 6 male organizations, that I will put the link in so that you can go to the page and then you can find one that fits for you. You will come across men's organizations for substance abuse and addictions, men's organizations for men's rights, and even mastermind men's organizations that push men towards their goals. Also referred to as men's support groups, these peer-led support forums comprise men and boys who share common interests or issues. In these organizations, men find a safe space to talk about life and issues facing men in society openly. So while she is correct in that there are men's spaces online, the other 2 men are correct as well that women are trying to shut down men's only spaces. Now, when I put this video on, let's take a look here. So right here, I typed in men's only clubs that were closed by women. And you can see now, I don't really know if there was specifically anything named that women had shut down, But you do have men's only clubs and Menace, basically talking about how this club refuses to allow female members. Men's only clubs are dated and embarrassing. And of course, women should be allowed in the Garrick Club. CIB, historically men's club only to allow women, which I thought, what is this? A powerful membership of UK's men-only Garrick's Club. No women allowed. Gender-specific clubs have no place in fair-minded society. And so I was interested here by this Garrick Club. I did not know what it was. By the title, it says, of course women should be allowed in the Garrick Club, but men must never be let into women-only clubs. Why? Why should women be allowed in men's spaces, but men not allowed in women's spaces? Why can't we just keep the two spaces the way they are? Then I went here where it says Pine Valley, the #1 ranked golf course in the U.S. and an exclusive men-only golf club, announced on April 30th it will allow women to play golf at the course and use the club without restrictions. So then that was when I decided to check women's only clubs to see. And boy, what a change in tone. We have Westside Newcomers Club, 6 women-only clubs around the world. Women are choosing to connect and collaborate together at all-female clubs. We just have more here, list of women's clubs. And you have, of course, women's-only fitness clubs. There is no shortage of women's-only clubs in the world. And they are usually praised and empowered, where men's only clubs are looked down on and considered embarrassing. So the last thing I want to mention is one of the things that I seen kept getting brought up was the Boy Scouts, which I don't know anything about. I don't know anything about Boy Scouts, don't know anything about Girl Scouts, and how they were saying that the Boy Scouts have now decided to allow girls in, that it used to be a boys only place. So I decided to look that up. Is that true? Well, yes. The organization began allowing gay youth in 2013 and ended a blanket ban on gay adult leadership in 2015. In 2017, it made the historic announcement that girls would be accepted as Cub Scouts as of 2018. But then I was like, okay, so they're allowing girls into the Boy Scouts, which used to be just for boys. Can boys join the Girl Scouts? Short answer, no. Girl Scouts has no plans to admit boys into the organizations. Research shows that a girl learns best in an all-girl, girl-led, and girl-friendly environment. Does that mean that boys don't learn better in a boy-only environment? To me, it sounds sexist, and I think it sounds silly. So in closing, what I think personally is allow men to have men's only spaces. Allow women to have women's only spaces. What is the big deal? Why do women want to be like,
no, men shouldn't have their own spaces?
Why not? You would get mad if a man told you weren't allowed to have your own space. I think that these should exist. And if men's only spaces are going to offer help with things like mental illness and overcoming drug use, that is nothing but positive. Women should have those options as well. Again, we need to stop dividing each other and lift each other up and support each other. I will continue to do these videos, not get weighed down by sexism or politics. Mental health matters for men and women, and mental illness knows no gender. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you enjoy me doing these kinds of more deep dives into serious issues, let me know. I feel like I'm very out of my league here, but I will continue to do them if you guys are interested in them. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that your symptoms are low. I hope that your magic is strong, and know that I will always be here for you. Bye, babes.